I want to welcome everybody to another session of Free to Heal, where we are formerly incarcerated and loved ones coming together to heal from the ravages of what mass incarceration has done to us, our families, and our communities. We come here in an effort to heal. We want to grow and be better so that we can be better for ourselves as well as the people in our lives. And we have one, what happens here for those of you who don't come in person, we tend to, or even those that don't log on, if you're checking this out on YouTube or some other platform that you've got access to it, we do a check-in and we go through everybody how they're doing and everything first, and then we come on and we discuss a topic. So no matter what I have in mind as the facilitator, if somebody has something that they want to discuss, we go with that first. And right now, we have one of our participants that wants to discuss a topic, and I had to stop him so that we can make sure that you get this information and this particular discussion. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to you, sir.
Just before you get out, you should have your birth certificate, because from that point on, you can work around the system. You can get a driver's license. I had so many bogus names during my life, seriously.
You forgot your own.
Yeah, and Sister Teresa had to go down there twice, and then she finally told them, you don't have to give them the card, but you got to give them the number, because without that social security number, you can't get the driver's license. If you need to go on SSI, you got to have it up there. Anything you do, those two right there, you have to have. And if you got friends inside and they're getting ready to come out, you have somebody in their family go down to the courthouse and get a copy of your birth certificate.
Now, I think one of the reasons I think it's important to have this conversation is that if you're in state prison in California, they are supposed to help you to get your documents.
That's a lie.
Okay, and by law they're supposed to help you. That's a lie that they do. Okay, the law is such that they are supposed to help you to get those documents. I was in CRC last week, and a guy is 90 days to the gate.
Yeah.
And he said they just began to ask him about getting his ID. So and sometimes there are challenges if you have been gone for a very long time, or how old you are, where you were born. There are lots of challenges, but at least know that you have that you can ask them to help you get your ID, so that when you come home, it'll help make the transition smoother. Okay, at least know that that's the case. But the question initially was, how many people before you came home were able to actually get your documents?
It has to be somebody in your family.
Well, yeah, I mean, clearly if they're gonna go to the Hall of Records or any of those things in any places, then that will be the question.
They have to prove who they are in your family.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you that she's telling you that they will. I was supposed to get SSI because I'm
She's old and crazy. Okay, but go ahead.
But I had it coming. But the person in the prison told me, don't worry about it. I've taken care of it and all that. She ain't did shit. But if they do what they're supposed to do, from the time that they file and you get out, let's say it's a couple months later, you'll get paid back to when they file the paperwork. But if they don't file that paperwork, you're not getting the money.
And this, this is just good information to have. I mean, the more you know how they say on TV that
Yeah.
that the more you know, the little shooting star. So at least if you know anybody that you know that is still inside, you can share this information with them that they have at least if they ask. Of course, we know that oftentimes people don't do what their job says do.
Right.
They don't often do that, right? But on the other hand, if somebody asks them specifically, then they might actually step up and do it. Now, like I say, I know the guy in CRC. He was for the past few weeks he had been upset that he's so close to the gate and nobody even talked to him about his ID until last Wednesday. So and I don't I don't know how fast they think they can process it, but whatever the situation is, there is a law on the books that says that they are supposed to help you get your documents in state prison in California before you come home.
Do you know that if you're doing 10 or less, up to 10, they are supposed to get motor vehicle to furnish you a driver's license. You don't have to take a test. You don't have to do
Or an
shit.
ID at a minimum.
Yeah, but I mean, at motor vehicle, you're not looking for ID.
No, they do ID cards. Yeah, that's how they identify. If you're not going to be a driver, you do an identification card.
You know, I put my thumb down. Now I'm telling you because and a lot of you are like me. The little bit of time I was outside, I was running from the man. I had more damn righteous Social Security cards and driver's license and all that shit. So when I put my thumb down, it brought up one of the aliases. And I told him, well, I'll be back, because I knew it wasn't me,
Oh no, it was you.
I went.
Oh no, it was surely you. Oh yeah, that was surely you. It was surely you. But guess what? It wasn't him that he wanted to continue to move along in his life. But I want y'all to know this. I want y'all to pay attention to this. Understand that when you're doing all this stuff you doing, later on in life, it's going to have consequences.
It's gonna bite you in the ass.
It'll come back. It can come back to haunt you. Okay. So thankfully, again, what did I say at the start of this? We trying to be better, right? We trying to be better. And that's why we provide information right here, right now, to talk about things that can make you better and things that can help you. So,
and one more thing.
Okay, this is the last thing he can say. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it probably ain't gonna be, but
well.
You know how inside the dudes on the yard and all that crap, they tell you about you do so much time in prison and then there's a fund for you to put in for it.
Mm-mm.
Bullshit. And it's just like your pro officer is supposed to furnish you tools and all that. And then they say they don't have the money because they've ate it up on their overtime. So if you get a job and let's say you're a welder, they're supposed to help you get the coats and all this and the helmet and everything. But it doesn't happen.
Well, one place that may, even though parole may not do it, the Department of Rehabilitation may. So there are still, I know a lady that went to work for the Department of Rehabilitation.
Yeah.
And they may help. So don't despair. Understand that, remember this, reentry is a process.
You ain't joking.
And it's not designed for everybody to succeed. I would venture to say it's almost not designed for nobody to succeed. I'm trying to be kind. I'm trying to be the gentler, kinder Noreen today. You know what I'm saying? But that's why I couldn't. You see, I couldn't even hold it for 5 seconds. I had to. You know, it may not designed for anybody really to survive or to be successful at it. So if you're going to be successful, you're going to have to be the one that takes the lead. You're going to have to take the wheel. And I also venture to say, in the words of Christians, you're going to have to let Jesus take the wheel, right? Because you're going to have some faith. You're going to have a lot of that. You're going to have to pray a lot. I want to say, I know a situation where it looked like everything was going good, folks getting situated, and parole said, no way, you got to up in and you got to go somewhere else. Okay?
That's true.
I just know that there are too many times when the system will do things or implement policies and procedures that actually are contrary to helping you do what they say they want you to do. So for example, let's say you want to get a job, right? And that job is 51 miles outside of your area. Oh, no, that's outside your limit. Oh, that's just the policy. No, it's going to depend on, because guess what? They can waive whatever they want whenever they get ready to waive it. And they do when they get ready.
If they get enough heat on their ass about you got a job, the man's gonna hire you. But like they said, it's out of your limit. That like Noreen said, that's bullshit. Because they can do what they want. You know?
And yes, and one thing that I want to say too, though, is something that Rufus, you said a long time ago. And that is, a lot of it depends on how you deal with them. If you, they will attempt in a lot of instances to frustrate you. If you fall for that, for the banana in the tailpipe, and express your frustration, it's over, right? It's done, right? You're not getting anything. So I encourage people to
don't take the bait.
Don't take the bait. It doesn't matter what's going on. Do not take the bait. What you do is yes, they always have a supervisor. The more support you have from the people on the outside, like you say, if there's a situation where you have an offer for a job, have that employer to put something in writing and say, look, we really want to hire this person. Then what that does is leave a paper trail. If you can't get the employer to write a letter, you write an email saying, I have an offer from XYZ company, and I need to get this. And you just put it in writing, and I'm trying to find out why you will not authorize me to go outside of this radius, right? Because what that does is it gives you ammunition in writing should you ever have to defend yourself. One of the things I will tell you in no uncertain terms that people, and I'm gonna say that, call it like this, hood people, and all of us is from some hood. I don't care where, all of us from some hood. Whatever hood people, we don't like to write. We don't like to write letters. We don't like to, we don't like to do that. We don't want to put it in writing. We just want to have a conversation and have that be it.
No.
Excuse me.
Why I gotta do all that?
I'm not from the hood.
Wait, Tony, you are what? First of all, you got the nerve to have your camera off, and then you're gonna have the nerve talking about you ain't from the hood.
I'm from the suburbs, and I write my ass off.
Suburbs of Normandy?
43 something near Normandy, right across the street from the
4233 South Normandy.
4233 South Normandy.
From St. Cecilia's Church.
That's the hood.
No.
I told you about her last week, Auntie.
I'm just saying. That's Davion.
I write.
Last week.
Yeah, thank you for Davion, because I'm just saying.
I write. I write my ass off.
You write, yes.
I write. And I write.
You're very good. And I need for you to share. I need for Roberta said you write graffiti. Look, I don't even like her no more for that, Tony. I'm done. That's it, Roberta. No, that was just too good. I feel bad for even laughing about that. But
You
that was a good one. She got you on that one, Tony. Okay, score Roberta 1 for sure, because she got you on that one. Okay, listen. But anyway, back to the subject at hand, because really, Tony, no, you're actually extremely good at writing. And I need for you to explain to people the importance of it. And if you can even think of a scenario where you have done that and it saved somebody or helped the situation, I'd really appreciate it. I know you got a million of them, but of course, whenever you want to think of them, it take a minute, and you can't think of it when you need it. But if you can,
Well, you know,
wait, let her finish, and then I'm come right back to you.
Well, I think for me, it started from a personal level. Professionally, I was taught to write under a lawyer, and he took me under his wing. And the professional writing along with the hood gave me the ability to write. My daughter was attacked by her teacher, and the teacher, she didn't intend to attack her, but it was the teacher's nature. And when I found out about it, the principal said, well, kind of like, all you people keep complaining, but you never write a complaint. And I said, well, I'm going to take all us people under my wing, and I'm going to write a complaint. And I wrote an 8-page complaint. And with exhibits and everything that had transpired at the time. And I was in labor relations training at the time, so I took everything that I knew along with the training under this lawyer to write this complaint. And this was a 20-year teacher who had tenure, and they weren't about to do anything about her tenure. But I wrote the complaint. I sent the complaint to the principal. I sent it to the school district in Lawndale. I went to the city council in Lawndale. I went to the teachers association. And what ended up happening is, because I then went to the police station to file a restraining order against her to take it up another notch. And they moved her from Lawndale High School to Hawthorne High School. And she stayed at Hawthorne High School for 6 months. And she had another incident. And they came running, asking, can my daughter testify? Because they were ready to terminate her when they knew they should have terminated her in the first place. And that gave me the understanding that I was very good at that. And literally the rest is history. If you have a good story, if you have a good fight and you can articulate that, I can usually write a very compelling argument, and that's the history of it. So I feel like I'm mean with that pen and paper because I know that they have to listen.
And I want you also, and I know that you are. And the other thing is, I remember us having discussions also in the past about in your professional life, working at AT&T and Human Resources, and them having to come back to you for your notes and your letters and all the things when they would have cases to support their
They still do.
Okay.
I'm still testifying for AT&T, and I've been gone for 3 years.
Okay, and that's because of the documentation. Did you remember what you wanted to say? Is it gone? Okay, well, go ahead. Say what you're going to say. Wait, Tony, 1 second.
Okay.
What was it that you wanted to say?
Your pro officer comes to your house,
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, you want them to do something for you. If it's to go out of your thing because your family lives 2 miles or 5 miles more, and the guy says no, and you think that's the end of it. But let me tell you something. Like they say, write a letter or go to the pro office and demand to see his boss. And I'll tell you something, that you would think that they would go along with the pro officer, but that's not true. If you have a legitimate,
There you go.
you know, it's not like you want to go out of your range to go talk to a homeboy or something like that. But if you say, I got family here, and I'd like to go, let's say once a month to visit my family, and your pro officer says no, don't get in a big argument with him, because you can't win, and he's gonna screw you somewhere. But like I said, and they said, write a letter to his or her boss, and then ask to see him.
Mhm.
And you know, it's like I wanted to go out of state to visit my sister. I had two pro officers show up in that meeting where I was supposed to get 2 weeks. And they bitch and moan, and I only ended up with a week.
Mhm.
But the next time I came, they had another big boss.
Mhm.
And the thing is, he used to work in the prison,
Mhm.
and he knew me.
Oh wow.
And I told him, you know, I want to go for 2 weeks. And he asked me, he says, why didn't you go for 2 weeks last time? Because
I tried.
yeah, but I didn't know that if I bitch and moan and could have got my family to call the place.
That they would have permitted it.
Yeah, because you're allowed 2 weeks to go out of the state to visit family.
See, and if you, again, the reason that we're having this discussion is because sometimes people don't know. And what you don't know can cost you. Okay. What you don't know, it can prevent you from having something that you really need. And we all know that family ties and visiting family and having those connections helps with the reentry process. So, I just wanted to say too, with so the early part of my career, the first 15 years of my working life, I spent working for lawyers. And in that process, the one thing I learned is the one who writes last wins. So if you ever have anybody put anything in writing on you that is not true, you cannot leave it unresponded to. And you can't just call somebody, you got to respond in writing.
Yeah, but
You got to respond in writing.
Yeah.
Why? Because when you go to court, well, they wrote you this, they told you this. Why didn't you write back? Where is your reply? You gotta you gotta put your stuff in writing. Your position has to be in writing. Yes.
I've seen pro officers write a 128.
Okay.
A 115 is a disciplinary.
Mm-hmm.
A 128 is a warning.
Okay.
You can't get the warning out of your jacket. That's a fact.
Okay.
The counselor can't get it out. The lieutenant can't get it out. But they do that. They give you a 128, and they can say anything they want. And I mean anything they want. And they know it's stuck in your jacket. Where you would rather have a 115 that you have to have a hearing for.
So what that says again, and that means that would be even more critical to respond to in writing, would be a 128, because you need an offsetting narrative in your file to describe the situation. And now, do you know if they've issued a 128 on you when it happens, or do they just, so the warning has to come to you, right?
No, 128 don't have to go to anybody. They just put it in your jacket.
Well, now that sounds crazy. That sounds crazy.
That's not money to view your file, and it's what they call an OSIN review.
Yeah.
Make sure, can you guys hear him? Okay, come on.
It's called an OSIN review. They know about it because they can't hear you. But you know, that's why it's important to get an OSIN review, because when you do that, and because you entitled to that by law, you know,
Okay.
and they give you your file, and say go through it, and then you see a gang of stuff, you're like, when did this get put in? When did this get put in? What the heck? How did this get in here? When did he write me up for this? And when did he give me? When did he document that I
Whatever. Right.
You know what I mean? And you only see it when you do an OSA review, because some of those things they don't have to give you a warning about.
Now let me ask you. So spell it for me. Is it
OLSEN, I think.
Okay, Olsen review.
If that person went to court.
Okay, and that's what established it.
Right. Saying that his stuff, his file or whatever, that he's not able to review his file, so the court
made it mandated. Now let me tell you the reason I had to chuckle about that is because law works this way, and particularly when you're dealing with public policy, right? All it takes is one situation to come up, and then it becomes public policy. Where, for example, where Muslims sued that they didn't want their food cooked in pans that had pork in it. So now in the prisons they don't serve pork, right?
Yeah.
Because somebody sued, right?
Yeah.
Well, all it takes with public, but guess what? That person had to write somebody. It took a written complaint in law to the lawyers, to the court, to say it's not fair that I'm subject to this and I should have a right to review it. So if it's an Olsen, OLSEN review, for anybody that didn't know what that was, right? Do you know how often you can do that?
Yeah, but
I think it's once a year.
Okay.
Yeah, but
thank you. So now wait. So
no.
once a year you have you have a legal legal right to review your file. Now what were you going to say?
And I know you all been in the joint long enough that what I'm fixing to say, you know it's the truth. One asshole. That's all you need in the prison. One asshole. We had ice cream, pint cups, right? Not those little things. We had a righteous ice cream. Some asshole looked at the date on it, and because it was
Dated.
Yeah, but ice cream don't go bad. You know, I mean, we're talking a month.
Mm-hmm.
Now this punk wrote a complaint that
About the date.
but they were giving us ice cream that was past date.
So now y'all don't get no ice cream.
There you go.
See, that's the way public policy works.
Y'all
want to complain about this? Well, guess what? We just won't give y'all nothing. Okay. Somebody started making Pruno. Guess what y'all can't have? Y'all can't have oranges. You see what I'm saying? Right? You can't have sugar. Listen, all of these, this is how public policy works. But
see, that's how tobacco got taken out, Auntie.
Okay.
There's no tobacco because somebody wrote one complaint.
Anything
about a lawsuit.
Right. So understand though, but realize this. I need the point to be hammered home. The point is that somebody put something in writing. It all started with somebody documenting a complaint. And there is not just one-sided. Not only the system gets to document and make adjustments. You, as a person that has been involved in the system, you too have the ability to write, to implement change, or to make a complaint. And you need to know that. I'm sure there are lots of people who don't even know that they have that right until it's too late. Right?
You know,
like this guy didn't know until he found, oh wait, all this stuff is in his jacket, and he had no idea, right? Well, guess what? That helps other people, okay? You may think it's whatever, but guess what? If you want an outcome, you got to be able to do the work. You got to be willing to do it. Yes, come close so they can hear.
That's right.
Could I?
And I'll come right to you after this, Chester.
Everybody that went to the board, the counselor have to sign off on that you was able to review your file, because the board gonna bring up everything in there, and then if they bring up something that you're not familiar with, they're gonna say, didn't you review your file? Well, you signed right here and said that you reviewed your file. How come you don't know about it?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's important too, because don't just sign stuff and you don't know what it is. If you get ready to go before the board, okay, and you get ready to come up for board and you go in there and they just want you just to sign up. No, you need to, what am I signing? What am I signing? What does it say? If you read it and you don't understand what it is, then you need to ask questions. That's your responsibility. You need to ask the questions. What is this that I'm signing? Chester, I'm gonna come right to you right now. You had something you wanted to say. Wait 1 second.
Yes, I just wanted to say this. What the guy said about the ice cream and stuff. You know, I was in prison a long time. Just like in the packages we all get, you have women and get the same thing we get, and I'm pretty sure they make pruno in there or whatever. But at the same time, they're allowed to get real sugar, real candy. We have to be subject to sugar-free stuff. And I feel that to give us to group punish us is wrong. I don't care what policy you have, but it's wrong to group punish us because everybody in prison don't make pruno. You understand what I'm saying? And I
Yes, I
understand
do.
that you have to write something to get people heard, but I think also CDC used that against us as well. You know, just like he just said, if you make a complaint against them, we're not gonna give you nothing. That's not fair. You know,
It's
because you made a complaint, but it's so convenient for them to group punish us, and it's not right. You know.
Wait 1 second. I want you to. So when you guys do that, I need y'all to say them things so everybody can hear. So what did you say, Miss Cheryl?
I said that's retaliation and they got policy against retaliation.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
But you gotta know how to write no read.
Well, and let me say this, and that wait, and let me say this about that too, right? Because yes, you if you don't know how to write, you need to get with somebody that does.
That's true.
And you gotta at least try. Everybody, listen, everybody, it's a jailhouse lawyer in every penitentiary.
Yeah.
At least one.
Yeah.
And if you got to give up a couple soups and something to get you a letter written, if you gonna give it up to get something else, then you can give it up to get a letter written to write your complaint about things that matter to you. Okay. And I'm gonna tell you, it's the same way on the outside. It's the same way in the street. If you don't have sense enough to ask for the help you need, if you can't humble yourself enough to ask for the help that you need, then suffer.
Yeah, that's on you. Exactly. And
Suffer.
you're right.
Wait,
You're
go
right.
ahead. What?
With the guy we're talking about, the woman's prison got to keep everything. I'm going to tell you something. They got to keep everything because they sat down and I'm not talking one or two of them. They shut everything down. They had to bring in cooks and everything because they wanted to take their clothes like they took our clothes. When we used to have, you know, Levi's and stuff like that, they kept their Levi's.
They're gone now.
Well, they
blues, but they're not Levi's.
Yeah, but I'm saying they sat down. They had more goddamn guts than we did.
So listen, and what that lends itself to understanding is group the power in numbers, right? And the power, but what it means is you're gonna have to suffer some consequences. But did you want to say something?
Yeah.
Well,
wait 1 second, Chester.
Dealing with people in prison that do litigation stuff that are in prison. I was one of them. And I found my biggest problem was individuals, they couldn't honestly reiterate exactly what the situation was with you. They didn't know how to do it. They couldn't write it out for you because they didn't know how to read or write. And they still got a lot of people in prison that are like that. And they're falling through the cracks. And there's more people than you think. There's a lot.
You're looking at.
Well, let me tell you why I know that that's true.
I learned how to read and write.
Right.
Okay.
So
my problem was in dealing with, you know, my own education. I had to go to school and stuff, go to college and everything to learn all these things. But even knowing all these things, it didn't help me help people. We tried to, but all we could do is, you know, utilize what they give you. And they don't trust a lot of people. People in prison don't trust each other. That's a factor. And so you got a big wall right there to, you know, break down. And that's not going to happen.
Well, and what that causes is a lot of suffering. And I will say this. So one of the reasons my late brother, the Reverend Eugene Williams III, I told you guys multiple times that he was one of the foremost people in reentry. He started working on reentry in 1988 when nobody cared. They didn't even have a term for it yet. But one of the initiatives that we worked on, and Pike was mad at us about this, but we worked on what we called the GED initiative. And what was that? We got small to medium-sized African-American congregations throughout the state of California to advocate to make it a condition of parole that if you went into prison without a high school diploma or a GED, that you must get a high school diploma or a GED.
Yeah.
Why? Why? Because what we know is all the rates of recidivism, as well as the number of people who are incarcerated who are illiterate, is high. When you get ready to come home from prison, if you don't, and mind you, we started doing this in the early 2000s. Okay. So this was more than 20 years ago. We worked on this, and it is now a law in the state of California, go us, that you got to get that GED. Again, people like Pike doesn't have the ability to learn to read. He got in an accident, he couldn't do it. But guess what? They kept trying to press him initially to get a GED.
You know what I finally had to do? I wrote the warden. I had somebody write it because I can't, and I had two other guys sitting there showing them what I'm saying to the warden.
Now guess what? But did y'all hear what he said? He wrote the warden. Go ahead.
Yeah, I did.
Case in point.
I explained to him when I was 6 years old, I ran across the street and a car hit me. And when the car hit me, it banged a spot on my head that I can't learn to read. It's not that I don't want to. I would love to be able to read. But I was being forced into school because of that law you're talking about.
Yes.
So I wrote him and I said, look in my jacket. You can see where the sites and stuff said, he's never going to read. And I made him take me out of school.
And guess what? And that's fine. But this is the thing. There are more people in prison, and this is why I believe you, Hilton, that all of the numbers of people who can't read and write, it creates a lot of things as to why people wind up incarcerated. It is a huge factor. They can't actively participate in their defense. It's a discussion, a lot of things that they can't do because they are illiterate. And then you have a lot of functional illiterates, okay? People who can get by streetwise, right? But they're not literate. So when you put them up against the big machine of literate and law and all that kind of stuff, then you wind up putting them at a huge disadvantage. Our organization, my brother's organization at the time, was the Los Angeles Metropolitan Churches, is where we started it through. And he had them work with organizations all up and down the state. Because again, we understood that this is a factor. This is something that can be fixed by people becoming literate at a minimum, right? So that was something that I'm very proud of, that we got that passed. Why? Because it's going to help people. And even if nothing else, maybe they just become literate, right? Maybe they now can understand how to communicate and write. I'm very fearful for the younger generation right now that are all in the phones and the text messages. And like, if you ever see a letter from some of these young people, or trying to help them get an apartment or get services, it is very scary that they write in text shorthand versus full sentences and stuff. And there are things that are legal documents that they need to be able to fill out. Yeah, you got to sign your name and not print. I mean, there's a lot of things that literacy matters. And guess what? Why do you think that back in slavery, it was against the law to teach a slave to read? All the slaves in the institution, they don't want you to be literate. They don't want you to be literate. So we gotta understand how this all plays into the system. And I am so grateful that I learned from Ava DuVernay that this is about the caste system. It's not color. This is about caste. This is keeping the poor people poor. Okay, this is about keeping, it don't matter what color, all the green people, if they poor green people, they don't want them literate neither.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So this is really about keeping those people in their place. When oftentimes, like you hear, like with athletes, LeBron James, he need to just keep dribbling the ball. Stay in your lane, LeBron. Well, what you mean? He all the taxes he got to be paying in America. He ain't got no lane to talk about government thing. Really? Okay, you got me twisted. But I'm telling you right now that, again, these are things why everybody needs to understand. And when it comes to public policy, I'm so proud of my cousin. Her community organization, they're the East Gardena Neighborhood Association. And a few years ago, they started being concerned about all the dumping and the homeless encampments and things that were butting up against their property. A lot of them were actually using drugs, and they were across from the liquor store. They had people who were coming there setting up to sell food to this particular encampment because they were making so much money. So I told her, I said, listen, you guys are going to have to, it's not going to just be one meeting that you go to. It's going to be long and grinding. Why? Because the government and the systems and the powers that be are set up such that they don't move fast. They don't move fast. And if they're not interested in your issue or fixing your issue, they're going to slow it down even more. So what does that mean? You're going to have to, and it took them a couple of years, literally, meeting every week, posting pictures for 2 years, weekly, if not every couple of days, of the trash and all of those things. But guess what? It's cleaned up now. You know what they did? They started posting and tagging all the elected officials, right? They would show up at meetings that the elected officials were at and ask them questions about it. They started reading the legislation and things that they claimed were there to help but weren't being implemented. So these are the kinds of things you have to do, but you got to be you got to be literate, and at a minimum to understand the comprehension. You got to be able to comprehend. And if you don't get it, be humble enough to ask questions and ask for help.
Yeah. I always.
You got it.
Because I can't read. I've sat here and argued with Sweetheart here because unless you can explain it to me at my level, because I know you can talk over my head in a heartbeat. Because I can't read, that's how I learn.
Mm-hmm. Asking questions.
You know, and
look, and challenging the theories, concepts, and opinions that are put before him.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. I just want you to know there's nothing wrong with challenging the status quo, challenging what's put before you, just challenging even somebody you care about. Just because you care about them don't make them right all the time. That's why I don't have no problem with this. Listen, y'all know, if any of you guys watch this on us on a regular basis, we fight and we fight all the time, okay? But please believe,
I love her.
And I love him right back. Please believe that. If anybody, they better ask somebody. I would not advise them to mess with him on my watch. Okay, I'm just saying.
You know what I don't understand is we all been in prison forever.
No. Not me, Tony. I'm not crazy, and I ain't been in prison forever. But go ahead.
Okay, and you know what the cops. They sit in that damn office for 6.5 hours out of the day. Y'all know that. And then when they get mad, they come and tear up your house and
whatever.
Yeah, right. And then we have boxes in our houses for lockdowns because we know 4 or 5 lockdowns was going to happen every year.
Regardless.
Their Christmas money.
Graduation time, I'm sure. Vacation money.
Yeah, and they will do anything to start shit in a prison.
Wait, let me tell you one that I learned. The infamous, there's a bullet missing. You know how many times that happened when I was teaching at CIW? In 7 years? Oh my gosh. No.
You'll be locked down for a
or
month.
it could be a bullet, or it could be keys. Oh gosh, not the keys. Please don't let the keys go missing.
Short of staff. They short of staff at the
Huh?
thing.
Wait. I want to pin you so they can see you. What'd you say?
Oh, we short of staff.
Oh, right. Or they
Short of
it
staff.
could be as simple as
We're
that.
having
It's
no
sort of
staff.
staff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another one. Right. But all of these things create scenarios where they are where they go on lockdown.
It's for the cops.
Right.
But I don't understand all the damn phones that y'all got. Probably 1 out of 10 people in prison have a damn phone.
Mm-hmm.
But they won't film the cops doing shit.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Do they?
Well,
They didn't.
Film it a lot.
Yes, they do.
well, they can't do that no more because the big brother is watching everywhere now. They got them cameras in there, so they can't even use their phones, and they have to watch what they say to you.
Meaning the officers.
Yeah. So I'm
So when
chiming
you
in
say
just
they
real.
can't use their phones, what do you mean?
Nah, because before they should just sit there with their phones out because, like, with their cell phones out,
They're not even.
and just online chatting, pages and all kind of stuff. So
Wait, you guys.
they that's what they do. You know what I mean? But right now they putting them cameras up everywhere. I've been out going on 6 months after 33 years,
Uh-huh.
and they activating them cameras everywhere. So they can't just lounge like they used to. So they miserable right now. So yeah,
Well,
but
and what's
like you
scary
said,
about that? What's scary about that is that when they're miserable, they're gonna make the population miserable.
exactly. So because
Everybody got to
now
pay for that. That's very scary.
with those cameras being on, they have to do 30-minute patrols. They have to walk the tier now. So they got to walk more and do all kind of other stuff. So,
Yeah.
and, eventually it will die down. Their superiors be like, it's new. And until they let it just marinate. But until that happen, they walking around, they miserable. So now dudes with them, I was one of them dudes had a cell phone, all that. And them dudes is getting caught with their cell phones. So I still got some brothers that's locked up. They reach out, they welcome to call me. I'm not gonna never turn my back on those soldiers. So they called me and let me know. When I left in February, they had them up. But in somewhere in April, they activated them. And them they said, yeah, all that
Now,
activity.
let me ask you this: are they putting them in?
They're in the yards, they're in the buildings, they're everywhere. Yeah.
Wow.
It's no crack or crevice. Dudes that think that they can get away with stuff, them cameras go up on the tables. Yeah, that technology is
Let me
super.
ask them a question.
Sure. Go ahead. Ask a question.
Just before I left, they was gonna take all the PCs and put them on the main line.
They did that.
Did
Well,
they do that?
what they call that is they call those a non-designated yard. So it's like a 50-50 yard. It's 50% general population, and it's the general population that's not tripping on them dudes being PC. So it's like a split yard, but they together, but nobody's attacking each other because these dudes, unless you tripping, then they get at you. But you stay over there, I'm gonna stay over here. I'm not fucking with you. Just
All
period.
right. And I want to make sure that Hilton got to say what he was going to say.
My issue was back in the day when they had the weights and everything, the guard towers would bring their weights up into the towers and they wouldn't take them back. And so when they came around to do the checks, they were missing weights. So they stripped it. Goes
Everybody.
Squad came out and everybody ripped everybody's house apart, caused a riot on Delano on A yard up there, right behind it, because it was a sergeant who did it.
Oh,
And they didn't say, "Oh, we're sorry." They didn't say nothing. They just said, "Go back to your business."
Get ready to go.
Wow.
That's their get down.
Right, right. And you know, one of the things is, again, you got to understand the caste system, right? Everybody's place in the caste, where you in the caste, right? You want to have people who are, they're in that overseer level, right? But they struggling as hard as we are. That's why they got to have all that overtime. This is, you know, and they're, but they make themselves feel better by thinking that they are a little bit higher in morality or whatever. But the reality, the truth of the matter is this, is that they're not, okay? They are as expendable as we are.
You know, when they were going to take the family visits,
Uh-huh.
and so they had a meeting, and they had, you know, people out here went to the meeting. Y'all remember when you used the phone and it cost $4, $5 a minute?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So anyhow, somebody outside got a hold of because all those phones on the yard are from usually the same company. They were getting $20-something million off us calling our people. So they said that they couldn't, they were short staffed. So they took it from the family visiting. So they shut the family visiting down. And the people, parents of the people in there said, they were talking about, well, to man this, it costs us $1 million. And they told them, well, you're getting $20 million off us.
Use some of that.
Yeah. And
Well,
you know what their reply was?
What?
All that money was for things already set. It's just like the tip.
But wait, I need to tell you this. I want to pat ourselves on the back again, because we also had the MCI initiative who had the contract, and we got that contract terminated. Organizing small to medium-sized African-American congregations to get them to oppose MCI's contract. And guess what they did? They got rid of it. So go us again. But keep in mind, it didn't happen overnight. It wasn't one meeting, because when you talking them kind of millions of dollars, it matters. And listen, and let me tell you something. One of the things my brother taught us is this: we didn't have one head of our movement. Why? So that they couldn't be targeted. Okay, think COINTELPRO, right? So we never, and listen, we also don't have no permanent friends and no permanent enemies. Okay, if there was somebody in the CDCR system that was an advocate and an ally, we would use them too. It don't matter, right? Because ultimately the goal is to help the people that we're trying to help. So I am extremely proud of the fact that yes,
There's the money I owe you.
Oh, come down.
he got money. He
Yeah.
I feel hustled. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
Get out the way. I feel hustled.
Quit picking on me.
I feel hustled. He had, that money was green, y'all. That was real money. And now he's talking about we owe him money. I'm offended. I'm offended. Listen, no. Look, you know what? He's such a bully. But anyway, I just want to say, I'm glad that we had this conversation. We took up way more time than I thought we would. But I want to give everybody an opportunity to chime in. This is called our checkout. Anything that you're going to take away from this conversation, please let us know. I think what I'd like to do is start with the people in the room this time. Normally, I go the other direction, but I'm going to start with the people in the room. Is there anything, Hilton and Rufus, if you guys can come up, is anything you want to say? Last comments you guys want to make about the conversation?
I need money.
You know, is your name Hilton or Rufus?
It depends. You got any money?
I can't stand him.
That's a good topic. I'm really dug into the deep.
Get out the way, they can't see him.
It dug into the inside of the prison system and everything, about the rules and stuff that are going on and what's happening for parolees and everything. You guys.
because I didn't want to know.
which is great.
Really good.
And you know what? And I'm so, again, this is why no matter what I have in mind when I come here, I want to open the floor to the participants, because this is helpful, and this is going to help somebody that's not in this meeting right now. Somebody is going to get this video and they're going to learn something that's helpful for them.
Even if they're
And
not
just
in prison.
and just imagine it came from him. Wow.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Hey.
what about you, Rufus?
I appreciate the topic because it's refreshing to get another look, a look inside the prison, and what you said about being able to write, you know. And once I was able to write and I saw that it worked, I empowered myself. So you couldn't just do anything to me. You know what I mean? And so anything that I felt like that you're trying to make me, you know, not less than, but less than, then I'm finna advocate for myself. Yeah. And when it worked, it felt good. Yeah. So being able to write is important.
Well, and one of the things I want to say is this: politicians have this theory, this kind of framework that they use. Don't go yet, because I want you to check out for me. Oh, okay, before you go. They have it's a theory that they use, that if they get one written letter from a constituent, they assume that at least 10 additional constituents have the same complaint, because they know that people will complain, but they won't write. So because they know that, what they do is they assume an additional. So just imagine if they get 30 letters, you will find that they begin to respond to those things. And I'm sure they began to treat you different once they figured out that you could write, and they wouldn't have you try to fall for the banana in the tailpipe no more, and none of the nonsense, because they know, oh, he not to be played with. He will write our asses up.
One more thing.
Yes, anything.
And just like me being on parole, and my parole officer had denied me certain things. I went to the supervisor.
Like he said.
Just like they said. And now they careful about, in a sense, they're careful about what they say no to.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Because if they don't have a legitimate reason, then they know they may have to wind up explaining it.
And I even told my PO one time, I said, look, I already know your answer to this, but I'm just letting you know that I'm finna go to such and such. And then remember, he told me, well, she on vacation right now, but give it to me. Give it to me. And he ended up approving it. When you normally tell me no. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Mr. I just want you to come and give him your last thoughts on the evening.
Yeah, I gotta go spend this.
Yeah, he gotta go.
This man don't have no money.
The choice of money.
Spend the money. This man don't have no money. It was a nice. I learned some things. I have never been to prison, but I have learned some things by coming to the class today, and I appreciate that from everyone. Thank you. Let me go spend this man's money.
Please do, Miss Cheryl. You want to give us any final comments?
I think it's really important that people really understand the differences between females doing time and males doing time, because some of the stuff that was said, the men don't really understand how we do time. I understand about men because I read policy. I read every policy they had, and then when I was at the Victorville camp, the men, they did overtime from the penitentiary and the FCIs, and they would tell you everything that went on. So, and I came back that first time I ever told the women, hey, you got a dude over there, keep encouraging him, but you guys don't know how hard it is for him to do time. But my other thing I want to say is, Pike can never say that you ain't let him do nothing, because he ran this whole meeting tonight. Thank you so much.
If he ever say it again, we're gonna bop him right in his mouth. We're gonna bust him in the mouth. Because I'm telling you, I always let him speak, but if you let him tell it, not never.
I need a witness.
I said it. You don't need no witness. I'm recording it. If he ever again say that I don't let him speak in group, I'ma bust him in the mouth. I'ma bust him in the mouth. Okay? I'ma bust him in the mouth. I'm just telling y'all, and y'all gonna know. Y'all know we don't even advocate violence around here. But if he say that one more time, I'ma bust him in the mouth.
She's a violent person.
Miss Roberta,
I'm just gonna say good night.
you just gonna say good night, pretty. Okay. Mr. Ben.
No,
I learned a lot on this topic we are talking this time. And, something.
Come closer, baby, so they can make sure they can hear you.
Something I'm gonna say now, maybe you're gonna believe me. I've been down for 20 years. And I never get 128, I never get 115.
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
You know, when 3 months before to get me released, the psycho called me and asked me what can they do for me. Because they say we can't find anything about you. But we need to know you need something. You need some help.
Wow. Wow.
And they saw the computer and they say, you see, the computer, we can find nothing against you.
That's right. That's
You know?
right. That's right.
And but I had a lot of problems, you know. But one of the things I learned is just to run. You never confront the problem, you know. Every time when I see problem, I run away.
Go away from it.
You know, because every time when they something was injured, someone has a problem in the yard, they close the circle. You know, and as soon as I see the problem,
you go the other way.
Go
That's right.
Yeah,
know? Yeah.
But another thing I need to explain you about the what they say about the birth certificate is I asked for those credentials before to be released. They rejected. They say I go to reentry program. I say yes, I'm ready to go to reentry program, but they say I have to be in a waiting list. They put me in the waiting list. They never call me. They didn't help me anything. Only those $200 they give me to me to get my pass or whatever.
Right.
But it's very important, like when you say, you know, their time is not our time.
Yeah.
Woman time is different than men time.
Yes.
But then I mean, they don't have a problem. Yes, you know, it's a big problem to be in prison.
Yes.
You know?
Period. Whether it's male or female prison.
Yeah, but thank you for the whole information. You know, we get it because that's going to help someone to maybe have a chance to see, you know, and fight for the parole. Yeah. You know, when they go to the board, they need a lot of credentials, you know, a lot of information. It's something they help you to rehiring to be a good.
Well, you know, of course, you know, for me, this is all about helping people. You know, this is not just to do something. This is actually to provide good information. Did you want to say something? You have a checkout for us, Mr. Doyle? Man of many words. I know that was long and drawn out. You know what I'm saying? I know that was long and drawn out. So
what you have to do, send the amount of money that they tell you that document is going to cost $18 is the highest, well, it's the lowest, depending on where you go. But what happens is,
who do you send it to?
You legally lock the agency in to look at for that document because you're paying to do it. When you don't pay them, no document. There's also an organization that does that for prisoners called Genesis. Remember that name?
Genesis.
Genesis. They go into the majority of the prisons in the state of California.
So let me ask you this: who do they pay the $12 or $18 fee to? So in other words, they would write a check to the Department of Motor Vehicles, or they might write, or the Department of Records. Okay. Okay. Right. Okay. So making sure you understood, make sure to write a check to the entity that will be issuing the documents. That is one way to ensure that they're going to actually follow up on that. There's something that Ben said that I want to follow up on, and that is Ben never had a 128 and a 115. And the first thing that occurred to me was the difference between his situation and one of the Manson ladies, Leslie Manhout. Leslie never had a 115 or anything. And they still didn't let her out of prison for a long, long time. It just lets you know how politics plays a huge role in, and notoriety plays a role in what it is. And Ben was very fortunate that he wasn't notorious, so that they could actually, his ability to serve time and not get into any situations or have any documentation like that became an asset for him. You wanted to say something else?
Okay. He keep going in and out.
Okay. So what he was saying is that it took him 50 years that Miss Cheryl and the social worker at his house helped him to get his name back. And it took him 50 years to get his identity back. He had actually served his 50-some years under an alias. And so they were able to help him to get his name back. So now I want to come to, Harry, I want to ask you to unmute, and if there's any comments that you have about the topic or anything that you want to share with us before we go.
No, everything that we were talking about was pretty interesting about, some reflection about where I came from, right? Everybody that we're talking about, the retaliation from COs and 128s, 115s, 602s. It's a grind, and you had to know when to pick your shots. Safety in numbers. It's just like what they would do, weaponize it against us, right? And then we had to turn around, and we had to learn, a lot of us, when to take our shots back, right, and make them count.
Yeah, because you don't get that many. You don't get that many. You're from this side of it. You don't get many.
No, you don't. And
you gotta pick them wisely.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, there's disparities between women prison and men's prison. Yeah, is it unfair? Sure it is, but you know what? We just gotta stay focused on and what we're doing, and like I said, the work we've been doing, and passing it forward. And because you said we got a lot of young generation out here now. Yeah, a lot of us are baby boomers. A lot of us we're a little bit more advanced, and they got all these youngsters are they're not paying attention. They're too, like I said, too caught up in their cell phones and doing all kinds of stuff and not being educated.
And it's by design. They purposely produced and created these scenarios to keep them from getting the education, and making it cool to not be educated, making it cool to be thug life and all this stuff, perpetrating that on the younger generation and giving them these phones and things to distract them. And it's really sad, but it's an experiment that actually worked. It actually worked in poor communities.
There was part of the discussion that we're talking about, and I was listening about how a lot of us how we ended up doing so much time and we got out. But I didn't hear anybody was saying that when we left that bunk, there was somebody going to replace us taking that bunk, right? And those are these young
sure.
They're always going to have a vacancy on that bunk, and somebody else is going to take that spot.
There's always they got county jails full of people waiting to come to CDCR.
And they're waiting on them. And they're waiting because they got them sweatshops and they're waiting for them.
That's right, because it's all about cheap labor. Make no mistake about it. The only reason they kept Pike as long as they did is because he was a plumber.
Yeah.
And when he hurt his back, how many times did they deny you before you got parole?
23, 24.
They denied him 24 times.
Wow.
Man.
That's-
24 times until he couldn't plumb anymore.
Man,
And
that's
then they
it.
let him go.
That's it.
He couldn't
That's
plumb
it.
no more. That's why they let him out. They couldn't use him for cheap
Yeah.
labor anymore. Again, this is the caste system, and the caste
Exactly.
system lives
Yeah.
off of cheap labor. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you, go ahead, Davion, anything you want to say? Go ahead and unmute. Any last comments you want to make for us?
I was saying, Auntie, and this is a good topic today because, like the gentleman just said before us, everything that you guys spoke about, I can relate to as far as the not filing the paperwork because we're not knowing the power of the paperwork and not knowing how to take these proper steps to get things done. You know, so there's a lot of stuff that you guys talked about today that I was inspired because I relate to everything that you guys talked about today. You know what I mean? I like these groups because
Awesome.
it really helped me reflect and see how I need to move forward in life too.
That's awesome because we don't, again, this forum is really to help, and so whatever it takes to do that, I'm glad that that I asked the question, Mr. Tony. Let me see.
Oh yeah, I apologize for not being there. I got to do the graveyard shit tonight, so
I know,
that's
sweetie.
why I'm not right down the street, but me
No, it
getting up, putting that
matters.
uniform on and that's why I just logged in like this. But I really want to be there, but I'm just tired from running all the errands today.
The thing of it is that I'm just glad you're here, and I'm really glad because you got information that you feel can help you. For me, that's the most important thing. I'm just glad about it, and you be safe tonight at work here.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Thank you, brother.
Let me see. So let me see. I got
Yes, Noreen.
Tony Lou. Oh, wait, go ahead. And what's your name again?
My name is Harold McDaniel.
Harold, I gotta write that down. Harold McDaniel.
Yeah, please do that.
You sit there and run like that.
Hey, y'all gonna have to fight later. Mr. McDaniel is trying to speak right now.
That's fine.
Okay,
I wanted to say to the group, I need to check out too. But I enjoyed this group. It was very therapeutic. And I will be back.
Awesome.
And this is one of the very few people groups that I've seen, many people that look like me in it.
Okay, that's
so I really enjoyed that, and it makes the more inviting, you know what I mean? And not that nothing else, not that any other group that I take is not inviting or whatsoever, but I enjoyed this tonight.
Wonderful.
And so I will be back next week.
Wonderful.
But I do need to check out. Thank you very much, everybody, for everything positive that was brought to the group. And I'll be back next week.
See you next week.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. Good night, everybody.
And
be safe.
We got another Harry. This is a Harry. Oh, Harry, we already did Harry. Wait, so let me see. We're gonna do Aurelio.
Oh, okay. Hey, thank you for having me. I really appreciate so much this group. And I really like the topic about all the things that go inside the institution. A lot of retaliation, so which I don't like it. But I didn't focus on that when I was inside. I focused more on educating myself. I was taking some college courses, vocationals, and stuff like that. I learned early inside the institution that if you see prison as a prison, you are going to behave as a prisoner, right? But if you see prison as a school, or you're going to behave as a student. So that was the way I saw prison. So I just focused on educating myself and see like the bad things around. I didn't care because I put myself in that situation. That was my fault.
You're bad.
By me complaining about things inside the institution, so that was my decision. So right now, And I really appreciate that you guys bring that topic, you know?
I love it. That's
So,
wonderful. That was a jewel. If you look at prison as a prison, you're gonna act as a prisoner. If you look at it as a school, then you'll function as a student. That is awesome. I'm
yes,
going to be sharing that because that is a shift, a simple shift in mentality
yes,
and mindset that's going to have you function in a different way, and it's going to produce a totally different set of behaviors. It's going to change your response to things. um like you said, whatever happened, you put yourself in a position to be incarcerated, right? So that's a, you made a mistake, whatever it was, thought you, whatever it was, but whatever it is, it's a lesson. It was a lesson learned. It was a very expensive lesson, right? And I'm certain that you would probably counsel young people to learn, get an education a better way. But if this is the only way you can get it, then at least once you find yourself there, look at it as something to educate yourself as opposed to something that someplace you're imprisoned. So that's very, very powerful. You are a prime example of why I always do checkout, because checkout is where people who don't speak a lot, or they may not speak throughout the entire evening, ultimately they come out with the most powerful statements of what they got from the evening. And this is very helpful for the entire group. So I'm just going to say thank you. Thank you,
no,
because
no, thank
that is going
you.
to be, that's going to be my checkout, what I take away from tonight. I can tell y'all that here. I'm doing mine now. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm out of order. I'm out of turn. Okay, I'm out of turn.
Thank you,
Out of
everybody.
order. All right,
Have a
wonderful.
good night. Buenas
All
noches.
right,
Have a
all
good
right.
night.
And so, Mr. Alex, you want to unmute and check out for us? Can you unmute it? Oh, there you go.
Oh yeah, okay. There you go. Okay. I really enjoyed this evening's meeting. Everybody had something awesome, powerful to share with the group. Uh you really opened up that back door and took me down back memory lane and
Mm-hmm.
took me back to when I was doing my prison term. And you know what? I'll tell you, I was determined, I was committed to better myself and to do something different than I did before. And I knew inside of me there was a good man. There was a quality human being inside of me, and I allowed myself to grow throughout the years I was locked up. And for me, I was able to do. I was able to serve 27 years without any RVRs. I didn't get no write-ups at all, and I just isolated myself from all the nonsense, and I just stood locked in, and I stood focused on my education, college, subjects, facilitating groups. I got involved in my denomination. I fellowship with my brothers, stood focused. It was all about my family, about my freedom, my life, and uh, I'm going on 3 weeks being out, and so on today's time and discussion, I heard from all of you about 128s, 115s. You know, I totally, see, relate to talking about, because there was many times I was getting right up, and there's many times I could have been involved in mutual combat. But I said to myself, violence does not solve problems. Violence creates problems. And I'm not a violent man today. I'm a man of peace. I got God in my life, and I'm a better man today. And with that said, as you're talking, you open up that back door and you reminded me of that life that I had lived, that world that I lived in, compared to the world I all you did today was just motivate me to keep pushing forward, stay grounded, stay focused, and never look down, but look up and say,
That's all
glory,
right.
hallelujah.
Stay focused.
So I
I
want to
like
thank
that.
you.
Stay focused. Don't look down, look up.
Yeah,
I like that. I gotta
that's
share with
right.
you guys that Miss Tony, her phone is gonna die. And it did. And she said that her checkout is the pen, as in pen, not the pen, penitentiary. The pen is sometimes mightier than the sword. The pen is sometimes, what's that, Bert? What's that, Miss Roberta? The pen can be mightier than the sword. Okay, Mr. Chester, I got to give you a chance to check out, love.
Yeah, I just wanted to say the class was very insightful, and it was very informative, and we got to keep on pushing it and shed the light on what's really going on. And and I was always taught, get more out of prison than prison gets out of you. So that's where I'm at with that right now.
I love it. I love it. I'm just I'm glad that we're here. I'm glad that you're here. I'm always am grateful when you show up, because you always got something good to say. So I like that. So I'm
Thank
glad
you.
you got something out of it. And I want to say to everybody that, again, this is a forum that's designed to help the people, all of us, to heal, as well as provide information for people who don't have another source. There are people, hopefully, like you guys talked about, all them phones in there. Hopefully somebody gets a hold of this, our channel, and can get a hold of this video and understands that there are things that they can do to help themselves to have to be able to do their time in a better way. I just am grateful for all of the knowledge. And I want to say to my partner over here, this one here, that one, the one I might have to bust in the mouth one day behind the same conversation. Him, I want to say thank you for the topic, because as you can see, a lot of people got a benefit from this conversation. And so he's been
What
out.
was the topic?
You've been off parole how long?
5 years.
He's been off parole for 5 years already, but he's still dropping knowledge and helping people to understand. And that's what we here at Free to Heal are about. So check
what
us
was
out.
the topic?
The topic being how it started off with, how do you get your documents, and making sure that people in the inside know that there's a law that says they have to help you to get that. And one thing led into another conversation that led into different things about the importance of writing and all of those things. So what he started off with a simple topic that he wanted to discuss led us into all these conversations about things that can help people do time better, be prepared for going to the board and all of that. And so this is why I ask you guys what y'all want to talk about versus what I want to talk about, because you guys, this is your forum.
What was it? I would say, you start letting him talk more than if he got this much impact.
Oh, I'm gonna beat you. Oh, he said we need to let him start talking more. Since he got so much impact. Listen, I'm gonna bust you in your mouth the next time I see you too. You know you're wrong, but but nephew, no nephew, you know you're wrong.
You was on a roll. You got a roll. I had to get you.
You know you're wrong for that. You know you're wrong. You starting you starting shit. You
stirred the pot. I stirred the pot.
You shit starting. I'm just telling you. And guess what? I'm gonna bust you in the mouth. I
take that for him. I take you to bust in the mouth too.
I'm gonna bust you in the mouth, nephew. You got that coming. Listen, this has been another great session of Free to Heal. We are on YouTube. We are on X. We're on Facebook, Instagram. Check us out. Leave comments. If there's topics you want us to discuss, please let us know. And we'll see you all next week. Next time. Bye.